Hello everyone, and welcome to the Mortuary. I am the Mortician, and hope you guys like the new intro. I worked all day on it, so hopefully it's pretty good and you guys enjoy it. Today I have an update for my top 10 favorite albums in my collection. I figured I did the update for my top 10 least favorite, it would make sense to do my top 10 favorite as well. But I don't think there's 10 here. I'm just going to talk about my favorite albums. If you want to check them, I highly recommend all these albums, or else they wouldn't be on this list and they wouldn't be considered my favorites. So let's get in on this. First thing we have on here is an album I never actually thought I would see. It's actually a compilation of demos from this band, but I never thought I would see this. But I walked into Armageddon one day, and there it was. They just got this in. It's Sarcastic Terror is the last act of Subsidians. If you're not aware of who Sarcastic Terror is, they are a death metal band from Greece. And honestly, they're probably one of the better death metal bands from Greece. I haven't heard too much Greek death metal, and I don't think a lot of people have. A lot of people associate Greece with, like black metal, like Rotting Christ, Varathron, shit like that. But they don't really explore the death metal side of things, and I think this is probably the best thing I've heard from, actually, it's probably my favorite thing I've heard from Greece ever. Fatal Putrescence is like my favorite fucking track of like any Greek band ever. I fucking love the riff on that shit. So good, highly recommend you check out. Next, we have Necrophobic's Satanic Blasphemies. The funny thing about this album, I thought when I bought it I was kind of disappointed. It was between this and Nocturnal Silence, and for whatever reason there was something inside of me that just said, get Satanic Blasphemies. And I'm glad I did. I love Nocturnal Silence, by the way. I'm not knocking it. It's an amazing piece of black death metal. It's probably the best of its kind, honestly. But this kind of gave me, this kind of opened my eyes to what it could have been. I actually really prefer the vocals on this. This is actually a compilation disc, by the way. It's the first two or three demo. It's the first two demos and then the EP, The Call. It's absolutely awesome. And it took me a while to come around to actually give this a fair shot. Because like, oh, it's a compilation. It's gotta suck, but it actually doesn't. It sounds very, very good, and I love the EPs and demos and whatnot, and I'm very happy to have this in my collection. Absolutely awesome to hear some of my favorites Necrophobic songs in a slightly more traditional death metal style vocal. I really enjoy, honestly. Next we have Catatonia, Dance of December Souls. Another album that this album's kind of weird for me. I love this album, that's why it's here. But it was an album that I've sought for a really long time. I couldn't find it anywhere for whatever reason. Armageddon didn't have it. None of the Newberries really had it. So I just could not find this album to save my life. And then finally, one fateful day at Armageddon, they had not only the album, but the No Fashion Records pressing of this album for like $8 or some shit like that. I was like, fuck yeah, sign me up. I bought the shit out of that. It's an absolutely amazing piece of death doom, and I highly recommend anyone who hasn't heard this album to listen to this album. It is fucking incredible, and it will probably blow you away, especially if you like death doom. You will probably love this album. Next, this is kind of an interesting album for me because of the story behind it. More about my journey into the genre these guys play, and that's Vokoun's Embrace the Emptiness. This album is a masterpiece. Now, if you don't know who Vokoun is, these guys are a funeral doom band. So how we were talking about in my Death Metal for Beginners video about Death Doom, I briefly covered it. Well, Funeral Doom is way slower. I'm talking about it's like slow as shit. but it's really, really good. It's a very atmospheric genre, and they typically use some kind of layers to really build on the sound. So, for example, Vokoun really likes keyboards and clean guitars to go along with their really heavy, distorted guitars and whatnot, and really reverby vocals. Absolutely incredible. But the thing about this album is, the first time I heard this, and the first time I heard Skepticism, I didn't like either of those bands, but they kind of grew on me after I heard full albums. You know, like a lot of people, I think when they hear Funeral Doom, they're kind of turned off because, well, it's kind of slow and they only hear one song. But I think it's really it does the whole genre a disservice if you listen to a Funeral Doom song as opposed to the Funeral Doom album, because it really creates the context in which these songs, or you know, the necessary context for these songs to thrive. And that's what this album did for me. When I listened to Embrace the Emptiness from beginning to end, I went back and listened to Skepticism's Let an Aether, actually. Funny enough, right here, which would be on this list if it weren't already so packed, but here it is. See, one of my favorite albums. But yeah, so this genre is great, and I'm glad that I actually listened to Vokoun's Embrace the Emptiness, because like I said, it really opened my eyes to what the genre could be. It really showed me the error of my ways. This album is a fucking classic. And that's Mystic Fire's Gosha. This album is fucking incredible. It's like black metal meets death metal meets it's like black metal meets death metal meets doom metal. It's fucking incredible. It just blew my mind the first time I heard it. And it was funny because when I actually took me forever to find out that this band exists. Like, I've been listening to metal at that point, well, basically, like I said, my entire life, basically a metalhead, but I've been listening to extreme metal for so long at that point, and I just never crossed paths with this album. When I finally crossed paths with this album, someone posted one of the songs off this album in one of the Facebook groups I'm in. I fell in love with it. I immediately bought the album, and it's one of my favorites. It actually comes with the 2-disc edition, and it comes with the remaster version of the album, which I think sounds very good, considering how most remasters are asshole. And actually comes with some live stuff and whatnot. So it's very cool to get this version of the album with all that extra stuff added in that I could dive into. I mean, it's awesome. I do not regret that I purchased at all. Next is King Diamond's Abigail. Honestly, I could just put all my King Diamond and Merciful Fate CDs in here. King Diamond is probably my favorite traditional heavy metal bands. I fucking love everything he does. Merciful Fate and King Diamond are top notch. Possibly the best in the genre, period. So obviously I recommend this. This is another case of like, I didn't like what I heard the first time I heard it, but then it just grew on me and I fell in love with it. Because, once again, it was more of an experience thing. Like, I've heard, first King Diamond song I ever heard was Give Me Your Soul, which was meh, you know. But then I finally heard Don't Break the Oath, and Nine, and Abigail, and Melissa, and all this other stuff, and it just blew my mind. I love this band, and I'm glad to have this in my collection. Once again, it's actually, I think it's 3 CDs? No, it is 2. So there's one CD which is Abigail, there's bonus tracks, and then there's a bonus DVD that actually has a live concert, which I've actually already watched, and it's actually not that bad. It's pretty much what you expect. It's not amazing quality for being tacked onto a CD, but it's pretty fucking good, I think. So now we're gonna be reaching for the wall. Of course, Bolt Thrower is going to be on the list. Everyone knows Bolt Thrower is going to be on the list. I fucking love Bolt Thrower. Like, Bolt Thrower is one of the greatest fucking death metal bands ever, in my opinion. Like, I've been hooked ever since the first time I heard World Eater. This is another band, by the way, where it took me a while to really listen to them because I really only heard their name. So my only experience is listening to the Fourth Crusade, the title track off that, and then not really listening to anything else. And then I joined a metal Discord server, and they were like, "Oh, well, what's the heaviest song you ever heard?" And at that point, I was like, "Oh, it's definitely Bloodbath Scene." And they showed me World Eater, and I was like, "Fuck." And I actually have, well, Chaos too. You know, I love this album as well. But that's the album that has World Eater on it. And I just kind of delved into this band, and I just fucking love it. I don't think I've heard a single thing that I don't like by this band. They're probably one of the most consistent bands in death metal, possibly in the history of metal. And the fact that there's really not anything that sucks. Like, all their albums range from good to, like, God tier. And For Victory is one of them. For Victory has the perfect guitar tone, the perfect drum tone, the perfect vocals, the perfect bass tone. You're talking about song structures that just are, like, I've never heard an album that just absolutely blew my face back like For Victory. I fucking love that album. Next CD we got here is Crom. It's actually, I wouldn't call it a split, it's not. It's 2 EPs, it's a compilation. It's Slayer of Lost Martyrs and Crown of the Ancients. Crom is actually awesome. They're a black metal band from Connecticut. Well, they started in Connecticut, or he started in Connecticut, and they moved up to Washington. But think about DSPEM. Like, if you never listen to DSPEM, it's very slow compared to, like, a lot of the other death metal you probably end up listening to, like Mayhem or anything, or Marduk or Dark Funeral or not Zopser, shit like that. Gehenna, shit like that. Emperor, shit like that. But it's very much slower. It's very much chord-based rather than trying to do a bunch of stuff with tremolo picking. And this album just has a very sad atmosphere, but it isn't bitchy. Like, the problem with a lot of DSPEM that I have is just it's so bitchy. But Crom takes the sound of DSPEM and kind of makes it sound, it just sounds better. It's structured better. The lyrics are better because it's not DSPEM. You know, it's just DSPEM style black metal. It's just it's traditional in every other sense of the word. He uses amazing acoustical pieces to really bring his album to life, and it's just awesome. The whole thing is awesome from beginning to end. Both EPs are incredible. And that was actually a band that I bought completely blind. Like, I bought Crom without knowing anything about them. LRG Records was going out of business, and they were having like a sale where like every CD was $4. So like, I bought a shitload of albums because of course I'm gonna take advantage of that. And I bought Crom, and then the other one there, I don't know if you can see that, this one here, that's not Haunting Presence, that's World Through Dead Eyes. I bought a whole bunch of CDs. The Resuscitator CD, you might be able to see down here. And my Skepticism CD, well, Levidator specifically. And I just went ham. And Crom definitely is the album that I love the most. You know, it's really, 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 really high quality. Everything this guy does is high quality. Fuck, he was a drummer in Infestor, so... You know, how could it not be high quality with that guy behind it? Alright, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Once again, I hope you enjoy the intro and the set and everything. Like I said, I'm really trying to take things to the next level with my channel. So hopefully people take notice, you know. So thank you guys so much. In the comments below, I would love to hear if you've heard any of these albums and what you think about them, and what's your favorite album in your collection. I would love to hear about that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Mortician, peace out.